Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis of gold and silver. We're going to go over all the precious metals, some ETFs, and some individual companies, give you kind of a picture of what's going on. I've been doing a lot of thinking about some of this stuff. I'm going to create another video on what maybe a thesis 2.0 that's happening. 1.0 is still 100% valid. 2.0 is an extension of what's going on in current market conditions and my thesis on it. And we'll dive in here. We'll do technical analysis. I'll give you my financial opinion on the charts. Again, this is just my financial opinion. Please do not use it as advice. So here we go. Let's jump in here. We got the dollar. We're starting with the dollar. We've got this pattern. It broke to the upside. We zoom into it. We have an ascending wedge, little ascending wedge that broke to the downside. On the short term, you can see it, and I'm willing to bet that we're breaking the downtrend, moving on up here just recently, potentially. And that's where we're at right now with the dollar. So the dollar has been getting stronger. The dollar is an index, and the world is inflating a lot everywhere, which means our dollar is inflating less than the other currencies. Basically, the milkshake theory is playing out. Looking at the 10-year. Here's the 10-year yield. The yield was down a little bit today, 0.5%. Looking at it from a one-year perspective, this is the right, I should say, I don't know how that would actually, how would you describe this? This is the big long-term view of it. Looks like these things, logarithmic, there we go. This is what it looks like on a big logarithmic, big picture view. Shoulder, head, shoulder. I guess this would be the right-hand shoulder when looking at it, and if you were the inverted head and shoulder, it would be the left shoulder. Maybe the way that you could look at it. No, it's the right shoulder because it'd be inverted. We'll say this is the right shoulder. Looking at it from the 1 year, you can see this guy, we're bouncing between the downtrend line here and the support line of the neck. Or I should say the resistance line of the neck, support line of this downtrend line. And we've been bouncing back and forth between it. I think eventually this will result in higher interest rates with the inflation and market conditions that we have over time, which I think will help commodities in gold and silver. I'll explain that in another clip. Here is gold. Gold today was up $5 and something cents. It's still popping around here. That's what it looks like here. We're still inside of this big channel. The big boy, we got 1, 2, 3, and usually it breaks at any point here. I think we're getting close to a breakout. Here's the third one last time. It kind of came up, went sideways and broke. This one's going a little bit more of a full retest, almost. We zoom way in. This line is kind of just sitting there, and it's going back and forth between and below and above the line, this support line that I just randomly kind of drew in here. It was 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hit, 4 hit, 5 hits, and it's just kind of cycling around it. I do think we're finding a bottom here. I do. I mean, it's going on sideways for the past couple days. So I do think gold's firming up here a little bit. That's good. And what happens is you go into a downtrend and then you square up the move. So the momentum stops and you start moving sideways. And then what's next is hopefully a break to the upside. I'm just kind of going to throw a preliminary. This isn't a super strong trend line, but it is a trend line right there. And we're kind of what I'll call it. We're coming into a pattern here potentially. And I mean, this could break to the downside if that fear kicks in and everyone's overwhelmed. But I'm just going to remain open and say that it's squeezing up a little bit. We do have good support at this line. We'll have to see what happens. For silver still, we broke out a little bit below this guy here. This was a support line that was helping us, and it did break to the downside. The fear is gripping people, but what I would be doing here is mentally preparing yourself for a little bit more downside if we get it. And I would be looking to see where this thing bottoms and be a potential buyer. We zoom out here. There it is right there. I think we've got good support at 22.0, and we're getting close to it. If we see support here where it kind of contracts down in the candlestick sizes, down here at 22, we're getting real close, and we start moving sideways for a little while, then I'd start looking at buying at some point. We're not there yet. Catching a falling knife, it sometimes can cut you. And sometimes I try doing it with a teeny bit of money anyway. Platinum, this is platinum. We broke this descending wedge triangle. Here, let me back way out. So we've got a big boy triangle. This is a big boy. Projected move, let's throw it on here. Why not? Throw that. Oh, got to click there. Click, click. Boom, boom. There's your projected move-ish, somewhere in that range, 22.86 at least. And I think it's going to go far higher than that. But when we zoom in here, we've got an ascending wedge that broke to the downside. This is basically a return move. Again, we broke out, came down, and we're just kind of doing this return move, slowing down, I think, somewhere in this range where we'll find some support. We've got good support, I would say, at 1,006, which we broke to the downside. We got more good support at 840, 850, 900. There's good support all through here. So we're coming into that support area. I put it in a 1 month here. I drew this descending wedge there. I already drew it out. Funny how I extended this out and left it yesterday. And we're almost kind of following the wedge as we go. If we see this thing find good support at this bottom line, potentially this is finding support. We break this to the upside. I'm going to buy another ounce somewhere in that range. But we got to find support and turn. Have not found it yet. Going to palladium. Palladium, we've got this upward trend, the trend line that we broke to the downside. I'm going to zoom way in here. We broke that to the downside, and we are still in a downtrend. That downtrend has not broken. There is some positive things here. I'll just throw it in here. We've got kind of this guy there. We've got this guy here. Notice how the lows are not as low anymore. We hit it. We're finding support. Now let's see if this thing can break to the upside. I think we're getting closer to a bottom. We have not bottomed yet, so I'm not saying this is a buy point or anything like that, but it looks like it's trying to take a stage for a potential break of this downtrend line. Looking at GDX, so we're going into the ETFs. ETF here, this is a big old move here. We do have support at $30. You can see support here, support here, support there. We're coming right into this support zone. Zooming in on it, yeah, we've got a sell-off on the really short term, but we're trying to find support somewhere. Let's find some support, guys. What the heck's going on? In the morning, another thing I want to touch on, in the mornings, we've been getting bought up. They buy up, they push the market up, and then they sell it off throughout the day. It's a trick to get to lure you into the markets. I see it all the time. We need to finish strong. It doesn't matter how you open, it matters how you close. And you want to close with good momentum and finish strong. These openings, they're playing with it. But I'm still a big believer in gold and silver. We're still in this big pattern. It's where everything's okay. We just got to see the buyer step in and start turning things around. Or let's go to SILJ here. SILJ, another big sell-off day today, minus 5.7%. I'll be honest, I did not see this one coming for sure. We've got, on a daily candlestick perspective, we had wicks on the bottom here. I'm like, oh, this has a chance to move on up. Well, got sold off. Look at that, sell off right there, boom. But it had the wicks, and that's all you have. You have the probabilities. Whenever you get these wicks on the bottom, usually it's a probability to move on up. And it can always come back and do a retest. But wherever you have these wicks on the bottom, it gets pushed higher for the majority of the time. Wick at the bottom here, went higher. Wick at the bottom here, went higher. You don't see these wicks on the bottom too much. Here's one right here that went higher. Couple of wicks on the bottom. There's buyers down here. Blew right throughout. It blew out the support today. People must be afraid. I'm gonna extend this guy down. We still kind of broke out of this downtrend. We were trying to make a run or a move higher, and it sold back off again. We're still above this downtrend line though, so we'll see what happens. EXK sold off. We had support here, blew out to the downside, did not break this downtrend. We are still in a downtrend. This is probably, hopefully, getting close to a final sell-off here. Hopefully. Karora Resources sold off. It looks like we're still in downtrend mode. Has not found a bottom yet, so just be patient. I probably would not be adding in yet right now. Looking at this. Metallic Minerals broke to the downside of its support. It's in downtrend mode. I would be patient there. Koya Silver, I heard they maybe released some news or something. Looks like it's finding a little bit of support, up 8.68% today. On the 1 year, it's finding a little bit of support down there, a little bit of buy-in pressure. And sometimes what happens is you get like a bottom where it pushes below some support. It goes below that support and then it rockets higher. It's like, here's the support I'm talking about, goes a little bit below it, hits some stop loss orders, and then rockets on up. We'll see. I'm not calling for that, but I'm just saying the pattern sometimes it does that. Discovery Silver feeling the heat, just like all the other companies. Broken its uptrend line. It's feeling the heat and it's selling off. AG is selling off. We still have this descending wedge pattern broken to the upside. We're coming back, and we may come back even to 1050 before we start finding a little bit more support here. It's possible in this area here where that green line is. Newmont looks like, God, man, it's just these guys are selling off here, guys. It's breaking through that support line through here, selling off some. We do have some more support underneath it down here. Backing out to a 1 year. There's some support underneath here. Yamana Gold. It's sold off 3.75% today. Here's kind of the 1 year picture. Down day today. Looking at the 3 month, we're still inside the pattern. It's still okay, but we have pulled back quite a bit over this past half month or so. Impact Silver looks like it's trying to find some support, and it's got support underneath here. So big buying pressure, some selling pressure here. Basically a flat day today, and then we've got Aftermath Silver coming to the downside here, almost back to its support line back here. If you guys are brave, if you're brave and you want to do a little sprinkle fest, I mean, this is kind of how you get closer to bottoms. We have not turned the corner yet, so it is still high risk, but I believe in this stuff. That's me. I have no problems doing a little bit of sprinkling when we hit support levels. If the support level breaks to the downside, then I just kind of go into hold mode and just wait. It doesn't mean that I dump a bunch of money in. I just sprinkle a little bit in. Maybe 5% of what I want to deploy into it. So if I got money sitting there, and let's say it's $1,000, I'm just going to make up a number, and I got $1,000 sitting there that I want to deploy into companies. Maybe I'll put $50 in something that it's coming to a support level. It's kind of looking like it's bouncing a couple times. I'll just start $50, $50. Just keep adding stuff in over time to kind of get my money in there. Or maybe if it's more money, maybe it's $100, maybe it's $200, whatever it is. I kind of sprinkle stuff in, sprinkle around, try to get some of these, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it breaks out to the downside. Long term, I think these things are quite solid. I'll go in another video and I'll explain that reasoning of the big picture view on top of what the thesis kind of the channel is already. So this will be like a thesis 2.0 in addition. So I'll go over that here soon. I haven't created the video yet, but I'll go over it and give you my opinions. Well, I'm not going to go over charts. It'll just be me talking about it and kind of figuring out what we go over every single day and try to tie it all together. If you guys like this analysis, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm riding through this stuff. I'm not worried, guys. Don't let this fear get to you. Ride through it. And the reason I think is they're not going to stop printing money. And they're printing money worldwide. This is everywhere. And I'm going to go into the thesis. I'll go into this stuff of how I think it's going to play out. In the short term, I think it's going to be look a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. And I'll go into why I think that and describe as best I can what I've been thinking. And there's a little bit of milkshake theory kind of twisted in there if you want a little bit of a preview. So that's what I've got for today. Thanks for listening. This is Finding Value.